my God, man. I started racing BMX when I was 11, going on 11. I was I used to do slalom skateboards, and I ended up watching the guy come out with his BMX bike, and I ended up saying, because he was at the skate park, and I'm like, wow, that was pretty cool. And then next thing you know, I was like, well, where you go ride at? And then it was Boys Town down in Kendall, down south, and I ended up starting there. Bill Green ran the Boys Town track back then. And then I ended up racing that day with my skateboard helmet. And Mr. Green came up, and the track operator, Bill Green, came up and said, "Son, man, where's your dad at?" And I said, "He's right over there." And he had to tell my dad, it's like, I can't race with the skateboard helmet. So my dad ended up going to one of the local bike shops and got me a helmet. That's what I started there. And I raced back then, I guess it was NBL and NPSA back then.
What bike was it?
I was on a DG. My dad found a DG and ended up buying it from one of the local people, and I ended up racing that day. It was a bike, So, it was cool. It didn't have all the good stuff, but the frame itself was good after I found out what it was what it was about. And then later on, I ended up getting a Redline Squareback, the second year one. And then we ended up putting profile cranks on it back then. And that was the ones when you had the 3-piece cranks and all that stuff. So it was a little different. And then that's when everything started kicking together. Raced all the way through, all the way through the series they had down there, and ended up moving up here to Gainesville, or Archer, where I am at now. And then the sanction up here was NPSA. And I was racing and up here too.
And you took a bit of a break after a while, didn't you? You were in the sport for a bit and then off again?
Yeah, so basically, when I started at 10, 11 years old, I went all the way to 16. And I stopped and ended up racing motorcycles for a while. And then I did that for about 4 years, and then ended up getting back into it when I was like 30, I guess. God, man, it's been so long. I can't remember that. But yeah, like I said, go ahead.
I was going to say, what was it that brought you back into the sport at 30 years old?
Well, it was funny because I ended up breaking my leg racing motorcycles. I got taken out the first time, and then I ended up getting back in and finishing the series that whole year. And then at the time, 1999, I think it was 1999, the R6 came out, and I ended up purchasing the R6, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do another year on it. And then ended up racing that through the half of the year, and then ended up wrecking on that one. And fortunately, these 2 wrecks I had wasn't me. Just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. So I ended up wrecking and breaking my other leg, and I had to decide, look, I can't keep doing this. 4 years was great, and I had a blast and stuff. I ended up finishing the series and everything, and then I decided that I needed to do something else. And then they were building a BMX track here right down the road from my house. So I man, I need to get back into it, build my legs back up, and that's how it started. Went to a local bike shop, bought a GT. Oh, man, it was like the heaviest GT out there. I don't know what I was thinking. It was a cruiser and the 20-inch, and I ended up getting the whole GT gear kind of thing because the guy had it there at the bike shop. It looked like I rolled in all factory guy, but I was not all factory guy. So it took me a while to get back into it. And I'd say it took me about 2 years to really get back into shape of BMX and stuff. And ended up doing very well. I rode for Brad's bike shop. He was out of Georgia. Pretty much gave me my start there. Continued the season with that. Probably lasted about 2 years. And then ended up racing with Force Racing down in West Palm. It was pretty much my wife's team at the time. That's when I met my wife and met Laura. And then I ended up racing for them for a while. I think it was at least 3 or 4 years. And then I got picked up by Jeremy and the guys from SE. He was running the SE group here in Florida. So I rode for him for about a year, taking the title, Florida state title, 2 years in a row on that one. And then I was we went to one of the local local tracks in Middleburg. It was a summer series. We just got finished racing our state series. So I took a little break. They usually do a summer series. So we ended up going volunteer there. And Gus was there. And I guess he's been watching me race over the year or that year and stuff. And then he asked me, who am I riding for? And I told him I don't know because I stepped away from SC and I was going to go ride for James Lackey's team. They were running the intense frames. And he goes, well, would you like to ride for Profile? And I'm like, yeah. and I'm like, yeah. So he said, well, all right, well, let me get your number and stuff, and I'll get back with you and let you know what turns out. So about a week went along, and I'm jonesing for a week. Like, man, I was like, is he going to call me? And so he eventually ended up calling me and says, yeah, we'll pick you up, and you can ride 2 bikes, cruiser and 20-inch. And man, it was like a dream come true. So it was, I would have to say, I was stunned at first. It was just like, I can't believe I'm riding with Profile. There's a story behind this whole thing, and I don't know if Gus ever told you, but back when I was 12, and they had the World Stars in Boys Town, and I'm watching the pros race. I mean, you had Greg Hill, Stu Thompson, the Patterson brothers, Toby Henderson, Eric Roop, and then there was Harry Larry and all those guys. And one kid was, I really didn't know who it was. At the end, he was like in gate 8 or something. He was the smallest guy out there compared to all these guys. And he was riding a Profile, and it was the blue and yellow jersey. And then to come to find out, that was Eric Root. And I told my dad, and I was next to him and stuff, I said, I want to be like that guy, and I want to race with that team. And it was fun because he was the smallest guy out there, and I was small when I was a kid too. So ended up 40 years later, I'm Profile, so that was the story. I told Gus about it, and he died laughing about it. And then I met Jim and Nancy, and I told them the story about that, and they thought that was a hoot, and it was on after that.
So how long have you been with Profile for now?
God, I think we're going on 20 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So as a team rider, did it add any extra pressure being on a factory ride like that?
It did at first, just because I was on Profile and the guys that rode Profile before, you had Spider-Man, Percy Owens, and then you had Fernandez and those guys. before me, and Termite and those guys ran the team for a while, before Gus, did. But yeah, it was kind of nerve wracking at first, but after that, it just sunk in. It was just like, man, I'm just riding my bike and having fun, and took off from there.
So you'd be the longest lasting team member, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I am now. Yeah, before Caleb and Menthorn and those guys, they were there for God when they were little kids. 10 years plus. Um, and then Gus's daughter, Lauren, and stuff, they were all there before me. And then being on the team and riding with them and doing doing tours and stuff with them was great and stuff. We had a good time. And then, I guess it's just, when you grow up, things change. So,
yeah. So did your role change much over those years?
My role did change a little bit because, when we were traveling, I started driving the truck with Gus a lot and stuff. So it was actually pretty cool, So it was just not being a team rider and stuff set up and all that stuff. It was more like, hey man, do you want to ride? And I started riding with Gus. We did tours, and I started driving the truck with him, and it was pretty cool. I mean, driving the rig back in the day when it was a small truck, and to the truck that we had 2 years ago to the truck we have now, and that I got in the background on my thing here, it's been pretty cool. And driving with Gus is awesome.
So they started up a 56 and over expert class recently. Did that give you a bit of extra boost and a bit more motivation to achieve as a rider still?
I'd say it was. I mean, they did the 41 and 51 and over too back then, and it gave me a little boost because the class changed. It was kind of fun. With the classes changing, you get to race with some of the other guys and stuff like that. So it worked out pretty well. And each time the class changed, it was like, oh man, let's do something. Let's go. It was exciting.
How much more racing do you think you've got in you? You've been at it for a long time now, and it must be hard to keep wanting to push yourself.
Yeah, it's tough. Plus, I mean, my daughter's raised too. That's what keeps me going pretty much. And I'm a track operator. I run High Springs BMX. I've been doing that. I've been a track operator, God, I think going on 12 years now, I think, or more. You kind of lose count after 5 or 6. But I say as long as I'm still breathing, I'm gonna still ride. I don't know what happens with my girls. I know my oldest one is it's in high school, and we've been dealing with her lacrosse, and she's starting to love it. And she just finished that up, and so I thought that was interesting to juggle that, her high school sports, and BMX. I think it worked out good for her because she was practicing every day, and that carried over to BMX because they do a lot of running. And she was pretty much the fastest girl on the team, and she was a freshman, so she was a starting freshman for the school. So I was stunned. I was happy as hell. So and to see her progress through each game, it was pretty awesome to see that. So, and she carried it over, from that to the BMX and stuff. So it was like cross training for her. So it was pretty neat.
So you guys only get 2 weeks of annual leave from work each year. How hard does that make it to just travel around and get to races and that sort of thing?
Well, it's not hard. Well, you see, the other thing is, I don't work at the shop. You know that, right?
I know that, yeah.
Okay. So, with that, it's easy for me to travel with Gus and them all the time. So,
yeah. But your family also travels. Your whole family
Yes.
goes to nationals.
Yeah. Yes.
How does Laura manage to swing the time off to sort of get the whole family around?
She does a great job of juggling all that. For I'm telling you, man. She puts it on the books and on the calendar and goes, all right, we're doing this race, then we go to this race, then the nationals, and then she takes the little time off. And it's a little easy for her because she works at an office, so she does travel 3 4 days out of the week. Um, so when she's on the road, it does make it a little hard sometimes when she has to go on the road, and then we got a race coming up, but we manage it pretty well.
So what does a traveling BMX family do for a holiday when you actually want to go away, no bikes? Where do you go?
Oh, if we have a chance, staying at home. But if not, we'll go out on the boat. We'll head down to the river and hit the springs and stuff. And sometimes we'll hook up with Gus and we'll go down to St. Pete and go out on the water down there and stuff. So it's like it's kind of relaxing, but then again, you're still driving places, you know. Like each week, you're driving to races, and the next thing you know, you're like, so your off weekend, what are you doing? Well, we go out on the boat. We end up driving to the water and stuff. But it is kind of hard sometimes because running the track too is really hard because we have to figure out when we be able to have a little time to as a family. Because when we're out racing and when we're not racing nationals or state races, we're running local races too. And usually our local races during the summertime, we run Saturday nights. And in wintertime, we switch over to Sundays because it gets, pretty hot during the summer. So we switch to Saturday nights. And then we switch back to Sundays when it gets cooler.
So going to your your local track, do you actually have regular events, or does it actually have to be scheduled around what you're doing? Like, is it every second Saturday, for example, or is there something more to it? Is it more complicated than that?
No, I mean we had it pretty much scheduled, so we have it all set up. We practice Tuesdays and Thursdays, so we work around that. We head to the track. We do practice Thursdays. We race. Like I said, if we're not, we race on Saturdays, and we schedule that, and we work around that, and it ends up being good, man. I mean, I always say, as much as you ride your bike, it's it's a good thing. I always tell my daughters, you know, when a lot of guys are training and stuff, I always say, if you're on your bike a lot, that's training to me.
So if you were training, like if you were training, say, for the Grands, would it just be time on the bike, or would you actually be in the gym as well, doing your sprints?
Yeah, definitely when it comes to the Grands. And it's funny because I change up my routine because the Grands is so long and you're racing late in the evenings and stuff like that. So I change my training and I start to train later in the evenings, so you figure, hey, you're going to be at this time racing at 9 o'clock at night and stuff. So I end up training in the evening to basically set myself up for racing at the Grands and stuff. And so it makes it challenging for sure.
Just going back to the team stuff. So one of the things I've noticed you've been involved with is product development. And more recently, it's the AL cranks, the elite AL cranks that have just launched at Grands last year, I believe. Mm-hmm. How early did you start working on those before they were released?
So Termite and them were working on the mountain bike side. And then they started, Gus and them and Corey and them started to develop the BMX side. And then he called me up and says, "Hey man, we're going to do these crank stuff. Are you ready to test them?" I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I was on the cranks for a good 3 months. Um, they sent them out. Gus sent them out to me, and I did a lot of testing with that, and just like all the other stuff I've done, with when the AC2s came out, Gus calls me up. All right, ready to do these hubs? You ready to race these, or do these? And we ended up doing those too. So it was pretty awesome. The ALs is a big game changer as of getting, because it's machined and you get them turned out a lot quicker than when Jim used, welding and all that stuff with the other elites and stuff. I mean, he still does them, but I think a lot of people are liking the fact that now it's a CNC machine that does the cranks, and I say, we have them in stock and are ready to go, but man, they're going so fast. I mean, trying to get sizes for those things.
I've noticed that here that they're starting to get build a bit of momentum and starting to see a lot more out on the bikes now. The biggest difference I noticed functionally was a narrower Q factor, so it's the same as the Shimano DX cranks, and that just been a big block for a lot of people. They didn't like the wider stance of the chromoly cranks. Have you noticed people moving across from other alloy cranks to the Elite ALs?
Yeah, most of the guys that I race here local and stuff have switched to the ALs and put their kids on the ALs and stuff, especially with the Q factor. So I personally, it's just one of those things. You put it on and go. I get it. There's some guys out there, the Q factor's, a big thing. They don't like it hitting close to their, their ankles and all that stuff. But I've never had problems with that. I just, put it on and go. But it is a big difference. I really didn't notice it until I jumped back and forth from the old ones to the new ones, because I have a sprint bike, and I usually go back and forth, and then I can really tell the difference when it comes with the Q factor. And I get what those guys, get what the tech guys get really personal about the Q factor and stuff, and I think it is a big difference.
What about the stiffness difference between the Elite and the AL cranks? Because obviously the Elite cranks are built to be bomb-proof, basically. Those things are as stiff as hell, and they were the stiffest cranks that Profile had ever built until that point.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are. To me, they're both just as same. I get it. The Elites, I mean, the way they're built was when they first came out, man, they were stiff. I mean, even if you had a stiff frame, it was just like, it was a big difference. And when the ALs come out, I mean, they still feel stiff. You'd think it might give a little bit, but they're stiff as could be.
Was there a lot of change from the very first set you ran to what was in production?
We did a few changes. At the time, we were running different spindles. Corey had different designs. He wanted to try them out, so we ended up doing, I think, 3 different spindles at the time. And that was, 2 of them was lengthwise. So, because most of the spindles were for the e-bikes and all that stuff, so you're trying to convince it to the BMX side. And then they ended up changing if you notice, like oh God, how to explain this. On the Elites, you had the spline drive. So you had all those little teeth and stuff. So when Corey did the design, he did 3 different designs for those and stuff. And I don't know, which one did you ended up having? Was the
ones we got were more of an ISIS style. I don't have any myself. My legs are too long, so I run 182s, and they still haven't made those yet.
Right. Yeah, so that was about the same. So, but we ended up going with that, and I believe that's what Corey decided, and ended up doing that.
I noticed there's some features that quite um, cool little additions, like the self-extracting bolts, and you know you don't have to use the hammer on the to try and get a spindle out anymore, and that's
No,
pretty cool.
no, it's actually real easy. I mean, I know people. It was funny how you talk about that, and you're in the trailer, and all of a sudden you hear a lot of banging and stuff, and you're like, man, why is people banging on it in a profile trailer, especially with the old cranks and stuff. Now, man, you put these on, it slides on, tighten it up, and away you go. And if you wanted to change it, and anything else to another bike, take apart, pops right out, and goes right back onto a new frame. It's pretty awesome.
What would you say was the greatest feature of the new cranks, personally?
The look.
Yeah.
The look of it and the design, especially in the backside with all the cutout and stuff, was pretty cool to me.
Did you have much input in the development while you were doing any testing? Has there been any signature changes that you can put your name to?
Yeah, no, it was pretty much all Corey. I would tell him, little things and stuff like that, and he'd say do little changes and stuff, and then we work from there and stuff. So it ended up being pretty much Corey and all those guys pretty much knew what they were doing and stuff. I just gave them the input of how I felt and all that stuff, and I guess they were waiting for me to break some, but it never happened.
How hard did you try?
Oh, dude. I did a lot. Trust me. There's been some testing, and Gus will tell you, I've done some testing, and it's always been on the down low, and nobody knows. I've broken some spindle. I wouldn't say spindle, but I would say the process of some prototype hubs. It's just one of those things that you want to try something different. We'll say, ceramic bearings to regular bearings and stuff. I tell you what, most people like ceramic bearings. They're all cool and stuff. I don't like them. I'll just tell you that, because I've crushed some ceramic bearings.
So people know you're kind of built a bit like a tank, aren't you? So it's probably the perfect test rig for a lot of these products.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we did some fun stuff, me and Gus and Corey, and then there was some things that never went on social media or talked about. So it's I'd say it's in the archives, and we left it at that. I do have a couple of videos, and I'm keeping those to myself.
So a lot of us have got you to thank for making these products indestructible then?
Yeah, pretty much, because if something breaks, I'm on it, they changed it up. So.
Yeah, oh, that's cool. Are you testing any products at the moment?
No, actually, it's just been, with the ALs, when they came out, man, we tested, like I said, I was on them for 3 months. I know Corey and them are up to something, so it's always a fun thing when you talk to Corey. He's always got things in his head going on, so there's always something new. That's for sure.
I remember when I interviewed him back in November 22, he had a couple of other ideas he was playing with. I think there was a new stem, and I got a feeling that Jim mentioned something about a new hub as well. So I'm sure it won't be too long before you are testing stuff again.
Oh yeah, for sure. Nova stem. I didn't get too much testing on that one. It came out and it pretty much knocked it out of the park.
Which stem was that one?
The Nova.
Oh, right, right. Do you still run that?
Yeah. Oh man, I love it. Gus doesn't know why I love it. That's him. I just like the big bulkiness, man. It's just me.
What handlebars do you run with it?
Oh, I'm running the flat irons.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, how is the Rift?
That box bar. We were sponsored by Box a while back and stuff. We ran the
Yeah.
box bars and stuff. So.
I just remembered you guys are on a Rift this year. How's that going?
Yeah. Yeah. So with the things changing with hydrogen and stuff, it's kind of a bummer, I mean, and it's like you want to be on one bike for a long time, but I get it. Times change and stuff. I mean, God, we were with Hyper for almost 14 years, and we were on their frames for a long time. When I first started with Profile, we were running a Formula. And then that lasted 1 year, and then we went to Kuahara. That lasted 1 year, And Gus always, he's always looking out to see, he's the kind of guy is like, man, we need to find a bike company that we can stick with and be with. Is changing each year was tough, A lot of people don't like changing and stuff, but when Gus made a deal with Clay at Hyper and Judd and stuff, it was a good deal. And we were with Hyper for a long time. Like I said, almost 14 years. I think it was 14, 15 years we were on Hypers. And then things changed. And next thing you know, we had an opportunity. We got with Drew and Lisa and stuff, and we started talking, and they got with Rennie and Bill and worked out a nice deal to run the Yes frames, and it was awesome. And talking about from that frame and putting at the time with the Elite cranks on there, how stiff that frame was and how stiff the cranks were on that was amazing. I had a great time on the Yes frame. It was really easy to transfer from Hyper to that. Was really, really good. And rode that for 2 years, the Yes frame, and then I guess stuff started going different there, and then they built or changed the name to Hydrogen BMX frames and stuff. So we rode that, and then unfortunately things changed again, and we were or Gus was looking for a new sponsor for frames, and it was a tough decision. There was a lot of people out there willing to throw us some frames, but as a team, Gus would call us, and Rowdy's dad, Tim, and Dave and stuff, and we would talk on the phone and say, hey, what do you think about this frame and that frame, and get a little input. And it was really tough last year trying to figure out what we're going to do. And then Gus got a hold of TJ and started talking to him about the Rift frames, and man, it was on. And I think that was great.
Did you do your usual trick and just jump on it straight away at Grants?
I did, and I'm usually good at that, we always put I always put the cruiser together at the Grands. Most people are like, man, why are you putting the cruiser together and then ride it? When you're on a frame for so long, like with the Hyper, I can take things and then put the new frame together and ride it. It's not a big deal. Yes frame, same way, it was that, and it's converted over to the Hydrogen and switching it. And our last year on the Hydrogen, and then I built the Cruiser Rift frame, and I decided to go take it out on the open class. Oh, what a big difference.
Oh, really?
Oh,
what was the changing?
I felt like the back end was short, and I don't know if the way I set it up wasn't right, because I'm a kind of person who's like, break out the tape measure, make sure everything is right. And we did. We put it together in the room. We usually put it together in the truck and stuff like that. But that year we put it together in the room, so it was a little different. So I don't know if I didn't do something right, but it felt a little short, but ended up adjusting the chain and stuff and putting another chain on it and putting it where I want it, and ended up being perfect. And
Oh, that's good.
Ever since then, it's been on.
I just realised you also changed your race gear colour too. So how's the grey? It's been a lot different to all of the colours in the past.
Yeah, the gray is awesome. I like it. I mean, some people, like, man, you can't see you or something like that. I don't know why. I mean, you can see anything out there. So I like the gray. It's a change. I mean, we've always been red and black for a long time. Gus has always thrown different things and stuff. We did green one year. We did blue. And we went all black one time. And God, riding all black in Florida, whew, forget it. It's hot. But he decided, like, all right, we're staying red and black, and we've been red and black. And then this year with him doing the change, and I think it coordinated with the Rift frame, and I think it was pretty awesome.
I did notice that it was a custom color, wasn't it, for you guys?
Yeah, so we had the custom one-off stems, and the hubs were done.
So the frame color was standard?
Yeah, so the frame color was standard, and we ended up getting the hubs to match the Rift color, because the gray on the Rift was the matching color of our hubs.
Right.
Yeah. Gus puts a lot of thought into this. Gus thinks ahead of time. I mean, he's on this like 6 or 7 months before the end of before the grands start, and he's on it. So turned out to be great. I love it. I love the gray and stuff. So and the bike is just, it's been dialed in, and I've been enjoying it this year and doing a lot of more races indoor. I did a couple indoor races I usually don't go to, and it's been pretty jammed up on that one.
What is your preference? Being a stronger rider, do you prefer a big, wide open outdoor track, or do you like the indoor tracks?
I'm a big outdoor track dude. I like big tracks, long tracks. That's why this year was a little different. I decided to do indoor tracks and ended up it was a challenge, trust me. But with the frame set up the way I got it, it worked out really well indoor tracks. I would say some of the tracks were pretty small and pretty bumpy, but I managed with that and worked out really well.
How are your points going at the moment for the NAG champs?
Points, sitting number one. NAG on cruiser and 20-inch. It's been a great start of the year.
Does that encourage you to want to do more races to sort of keep everyone else at bay?
Well, I mean, I wanted to do a lot more races, but I know with the Worlds here this year, and the 50 and over class for that, and that class is going to be crazy at South Carolina with that. I just started focused on, I wanted to qualify for the Worlds and do some indoor tracks and see how that turned out, and then ended up turning out pretty well. And I wanted to keep racing. I always say, when you're riding your bike a lot and racing, you keep that race speed up. But I get sometimes you got to take a break too. It can come and bite. It could bite you later on. And I think I was so gung ho about racing right after Rock Hill. It's literally 2-3 days break, and I ended up going to the Cajun National, and that was a quick turnaround. So it was a great track, always a great place there. I've raced it 4 years ago. It was always great, and the competition's always strong. I decided to go there, and I think the short turnaround bit me and stuff. Still had a great time racing. I really did. The finishes weren't there, but my riding was, I felt like I was strong and stuff, but I think it was just too quick of a turnaround, and it kind of bite me.
Did you make any adjustments now that it's only weeks away until the Worlds? Did you make adjustments so that you don't do something like that again?
Yeah, so I'm like I said earlier, we're talking about the state championship we have in St. Cloud. So I did adjustments for that track, being outdoors and it's a long track. Probably the same gears I would probably run at Rock Hill. So that'd be extra bonus for me.
So after the state championships, there's only a week or two before Worlds?
Yeah, so we have right at the state championship, we have a week off or almost a week, and then Gus and I head out on Wednesday. Week or a couple weeks after that, we head out to get set up at the Worlds.
So the whole profile crew and the kit will all be there for everyone to check out?
Yeah, we'll be there. I think we're supposed to be set up at the they were calling it Expo or kind of thing. I don't know if we'll be with the bike benders and stuff. I don't know what the layout is. Gus has talked to the people there and stuff like that. So I don't know if we're going to be separate from the bike benders and us off somewhere else. They call them the Expo. So
go ahead. No,
I think it's going to be, we'll probably end up being behind the bleachers and stuff, the way it sounds.
You'll still get to see some of the racing.
Oh, yeah. We'll have plenty of time to see the racing. We'll do our USA team practice and stuff, the scheduling and that, and then I'll have time to help Gus get things going products-wise. And we're really excited about that because I think in 2017 we had a very good time there and product-wise, and that's when the AC2 hubs came out that year.
I just realized I'm wearing my 2017 hoodie. I didn't go.
So we're gonna, I'm like with the ALs and stuff, we're ready to pack those up in the trailer and show those off for sure.
Don't forget to pack your TV so you can watch the live stream.
Yeah, for sure.
So how does the racing differ with an international crowd at a World Championships to just a normal USA BMX race?
I've only been to 2 Worlds. I went to Canada. I think it was 2007, Victoria. I think it was. I'm not sure. Yeah. That it's a big difference. To me, it's a big difference. You have the USI riders that you usually race, but when you go to something like that and you go race guys from France, Canada, those guys, it's totally different. It's a different breed, that's for sure.
What does it mean to an American rider?
What's that?
Sorry? I was going to ask what it meant to an American rider to win a world championship.
Yeah, it's 2017, I think Ty Perry ended up winning the Worlds there. And it's funny because I go back and look at it. I think there was only 2 foreigners on the team on the gate that year. I think it was a French rider and a Canadian rider. I can't remember. The rest were all U.S. riders. So, but
you guys seem to be a little bit, I don't know what the word is, isolated, perhaps, in that you get so entrenched in the whole USA BMX National Series that to race internationally doesn't seem to mean as much. Is that actually the case?
Yeah, because we're, here in the U.S. we're riding all the time. We got state races, we do nationals, we do Go Cups, and and then regular racing. So it's so much going on. So when international comes, it seems like just another race. It's just different people. I mean, it's crazy because when I watch live stream and watch that, and it's pretty awesome with all those people over there watching and also, God, my wife did the UCI race there in New Zealand and stuff, and she said it was amazing there. She had a good time.
I heard she was over.
Yeah, I wish I would have gone, but I'm not that lucky.
She was there on an official capacity.
Spouses.
She was there on an official capacity, though, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. She had a chance to go out and do a little tour. She had a blast. So, but like I said, like it is different in national compared to what we have here at USA BMX and stuff, and it's constantly, it's all about racing, and then when you go see that at different places and like Netherlands and all that, and then see it online, you just see all those people there. It's amazing.
I want to get back to
we're talking spectators. I know there's a lot of riders too, but just amazing to see all the spectators out there having a blast watching BMX.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to get back to talking about your time with Profile as a team rider for 20 years. Now, I've seen a lot of riders out there that sort of take it for granted that they're sponsored, and there's lots of expectations from their end. And clearly, if you're involved in one team for 20 years, you must be doing something right. What could you tell people to do? Like, what advice would you give them to tell them how to be a really good team rider?
I am lucky. I'm going to say that. I know a lot of people don't get to stay with teams like that. Unfortunately, I am lucky and grateful what Jim, Nancy, and Gus do for me. And I think it's just being a good person and being thankful for what you have with them and stuff, and share it with them, and always have social media tagging them and stuff like that, and making sure you do things right. Attitude at races is a big thing. Being respectful other riders. I know it could be heated moments that things can get lost. And trying to keep your cool about stuff, and just representing Profile or any other team in general. Just respect. So you're wearing their jersey is the big thing, and always remember to always say thank you. I mean, that's me, is like, every time I see Jim and Nancy and talk to them, I'll always say thank you for everything. And Gus too, for what he does for us. And I think it's just attitude and your performance on the track and everything in general and stuff. And that goes a long way.
So it is a lot more than just performance on the track though, isn't it?
Yeah, for me, it is. Helping Gus out with the track setups and stuff, and being a good rider and representing the Profile brand.
Has there ever been any other brand that, as a 12-year-old, you looked at and thought, I really want to be on that team? Was it only ever been Profile for you?
Yeah, I'd have to say it's. I guess it's just one of those things, like if you've seen pictures of me, I looked like a little squirt back when I was 11 and 12 or 10 and 11, man. And seeing a pro is about the smallest guy out there, and out there just whipping up on some of those big boys, So I guess that was always something that it stuck into my head, and it's never been lost. So it's just one of those things, I guess. It's just I couldn't let it go.
Just, I guess I need to discuss progression of racing. Like when you first started, obviously tracks were a lot different than they are now. How do you keep pushing yourself to adapt to the more technical tracks as years goes on?
Ooh. Man, I'm not. I'm a big believer. you know, I, and I'm going through a situation with my daughter and stuff right now as progressing and stuff, especially is teaching her how to manual, um, and then trying to teach her how to jump. And I and most of my friends and stuff they'll tell you they always bag. I don't jump. I really don't. There's only probably a couple tracks that I do jump. Um, my track, I'll jump my big double. It's 22 foot or 22 foot apart. And it's funny. I go to some tracks and they're shorter, and I don't jump them, and it's weird. I always a big believer is how smooth you can get over the jump is fast enough. You're faster on the track. Manualing is a big thing. I always say, wheels to the ground is more power to the ground. But it does make it challenging when you go to tracks where some tracks it's really hard to manual. Deeper, jumps are a little taller and deeper in the middle. It's harder to manual and stuff. So it's a challenge every time.
So do you focus on getting through those jumps faster when you go to a track and hit the track for the first time? Do you consciously think, well, do I need to jump this thing, or do I manual it, or do I pump it, or do you just hit it as fast as you can and hold on and hope for the best?
Well, yeah, sometimes, yeah, it's funny about that. I say that to my girls that, just get it and go. But when I go to a track and then you end up going, all right, this section, we'll say first straightaway, you can dominate it and get down the track faster. Then you might have problems down a second straightaway, so you try to cope with that, try to manage if you can manual it good enough or pump through it good enough. And if you can get down to first straight quick and fast and you get to that next section, you can work your way through it, helps out a lot too. I always say is I have a problem with one section, and I would say if I can go all out in the first straightaway and then manage the second straightaway, and then that's great. Third straightaway is a little manageable. Same thing. Put the power down. I always say put the power down as much as you can on the straightaways of whatever you're having problems with, and when you get there, you manage through it. And then it could vice versa the other way. It could be the first straightaway you're having problems with, so you got to cope with the first straightaway down from the starting hill. Then you could be faster around the straightaways. You got to go in and focus on what you can do and manage, and you take care of business.
What would you say your strengths were on the track?
Yeah, back in the days, I would say my strength was always longer tracks was the last straightaways, because I always pulled a lot of people back in the days. I've changed it up now. I've focused on trying to be faster out of the gate, quicker out of the gate, and faster down the first straight. And it's proven this year, or into last year and this year. I've done a lot of changes, and I've seen it, and I'm been enjoying that for sure. But a lot of the guys I used to race used to hate me because I'd have the last pull. I'd pull people at the last two straightaways, and it's changed up now. So it's like, you give up one to manage another and stuff. So it's sometimes you can put it all together and it works out well.
So what does a normal week of training look like for John Pringle?
Oh man, I'd say I might do too much training sometimes, but my training is 3 days a week. 3 days out of the week, and then ride my bike, and then now and then have a Snickers. Most of my friends would tell me have a zebra cake, but you know, you know, that's my thing, and all of us guys always have our little niches about our trainings and stuff, and we talk about, but we always have our top secret stuff. Keep it to the side. But, no, man, I in my gym, working out, doing gates at the house, doing gates at the track, manual, doing all the good stuff at the track when you get a chance to. So
you don't go to trails or pump tracks or anything just to mix it up?
It's funny. I have a pump track in my yard, but ever since I've been a track operator, it's got leaves and grass on it now. I mean, I literally I'm gonna tell you the truth. It's funny is because I had little trail jumps, and they're not the big boys like people you would see hitting them all, like Barry Noble's hitting all the big jumps and all that stuff. I had little ones, and I had a pump track, and that's what I did here at the house and stuff. And then when I turned track operator, it took away from all that. I ended up doing a lot more at the track and stuff, and pretty much forgetting about my little track here. It's time consuming, and most people, I'm fortunate, I'm lucky enough that I can have the time to go do that and make turn a facility around and make it a enjoyable track for younger kids and older kids to ride and have a good time on it and learn it and progress at the same time.
I was going to ask you about your weakness with the burger chain. I can't think of the name of it anymore. I keep thinking In and Out, but that's not it. There was a burger place. Chick-fil-A, yes. Where did that come from? How come Chick-fil-A became a favorite? Was it just you found them on the road a lot, or?
Pretty much. It came about because when I picked my daughter up for school and we'd do a Wednesday thing, say we get out of school early and try to kill a little time and stuff. So we would I'd have lunch with my daughters. So we would go to Chick-fil-A, and it just turned into a thing when they were at school. And this is back when they were in elementary school. So it's a little different now. They're in middle school and one's in high school. So I don't have the luxury of doing that. But I tell you what, and Gus will tell you too, is I drive him nuts about it. But when we are on the road, I'll find a Chick-fil-A. And I think the only thing is good about Gus, on Sunday, they're closed. But when we're traveling and going to the races and stuff, I'll find a Chick-fil-A, man. Grands, same thing. Find a Chick-fil-A. But Sundays, it's always a good thing for Gus, because when we leave nationals on Sunday, it's like we don't have to stock at Chick-fil-A because they're closed. Yeah, it's a long joke with us and stuff. So, but yes, it is my weakness. That, and I would say the zebra cakes with all my friends and stuff would tease me about it. I'd have to say I've been very good this year. I said I wasn't going to eat any zebra cakes this year, and I've held to it.
Well, there's only 8 months to go.
Yeah. It's a standing joke with us, with Tom Johnson and me and Drew and stuff, and Rich and stuff. So we're always text when we get ready to go to races and stuff, and we'll always throw up the zebra cakes, and we're shopping to get water and stuff for the race for the weekend, and there's always a package of zebra cakes and stuff, and it's a hoot sometimes. And the only reason that zebra cake came up, and it's funny how that turned up, it turned into a crazy thing because I was at a national in South Carolina. I think it was 3-4 years ago. I think it was. I was really tired I don't know if it was just a long. I think it was the weekend when we had delays, and it was just a long weekend at South Carolina, and I wasn't feeling all that great, and I just needed a sugar rush or something. I don't know, and I hadn't had zebra cakes, and I ate one. They come in a package of two. You know, you get them in a big box, and then the package is two. So I ate one before my main, my cruiser class, and I won. And then everybody made a joke about it, and I ate the second one, and I ended up winning my 20-inch main and stuff. And then that's what started this whole thing and stuff. You know, oh man, John, you got to start eating zebra cakes, man. You're winning and stuff. So I'm like, no, that's not true. So, but that's the inside joke of everything is the. But it was a rough weekend for me, and I don't know, just because the sugar rush kicked in at the right time, and it made everything go good. So, but it's a standard thing from the.
You have to tell the Australian audience what a zebra cake is, because I don't even know what one is.
It's made by Debbie Cakes and stuff. It's a hectagon looking hectagon sweet cake. Basically, yeah. It's vanilla on the outside, and it's got, or actually frosting vanilla outside and vanilla cake inside kind of thing. It's yeah, you got to Google it, you know, and it comes in all different, you know, it can be a Christmas tree, you know, it can be a different kind of looking zebra cake and stuff. So yeah, it's crazy.
I've noticed a lot of pros seem to be shifting across to Florida. It must be interesting for you to be able to see a lot more of those riders basically in your own backyard. What do you think it is? I mean, obviously Florida has good weather, and it's a little bit cheaper than California, but what do you think it is mostly that's bringing those riders to Florida?
I think especially when the Supercross thing kicked in, and then the tracks, you know, like Sarasota, Oldsmar, and, you know, Rock Hill, and all them started building these tracks, and then Florida started catering, you know, hey, come to our track, you know, Sarasota or Oldsmar and stuff, and some of the pros decided, you know, let's go to Florida ride. Everybody loves riding to Florida, and weather-wise is always good. It's always sunny here. I mean, and hot too. So it was cool to see that, because it's, as a, you know, track operator, it's cool to see that, you know, and I think most of the kids, I would say Florida wise, and, you know, younger kids will never ever see, you know, Kimmins and George Darday and all those guys, and the ones that come over, you know, to see that, you know, local riders, you know, the kids that don't see, you know, don't go to nationals and stuff like that, and don't see the big races and stuff. They'll never see kids, pros like that, and it's kind of cool for that. And I'll tell you what, when the Dutch team, and I think the Dutch team, the German team, the Japanese team were all in Florida one time, and the Russian team, I take that back too. The Russian team was here in Florida. They were riding Sarasota and all that stuff. And Afro Bob was actually with the Dutch team and stuff. And I had a state race, state qualifier at High Springs BMX, and I got Afro Bob to bring Nick Timmons and all those guys to our race, and it was pretty cool to come to a state race, just a state race, and it was awesome. And then some of these kids, and I think they never would see a pro that level and from a foreign country come over and race a state qualifier. And it was pretty awesome.
Is it just me, or is USA BMX putting a little bit more focus in Florida as well? Like a few more nationals this year than I think I've noticed in the past.
Yeah, they've definitely stepped it up and started doing more nationals and back to back. They were trying to do back to back. NBL did that a long time ago, back to back nationals, and they used to do it on spring break. When the kids were out of school, um, and they're kind of bringing it back again. Um, Unfortunately, I would have to say, you think the Sunshine Nationals is great and stuff like that, and our first two nationals here at the beginning of the year ended up being cold, rainy, and miserable. You come to Florida and you want all this great weather and stuff, and we end up having three different weathers in 1 week. One day it would be a great sunshine and nice, and you'd be great, and next thing it's turned into high winds and cold and rainy and stuff, and it's nuts. I truthfully, I think this whole year it's been each race we've gone to has been raining and cold. And I'm not just saying Florida, but in general, even different tracks we've gone to. It's funny, man. It's just you go to a track, you're like ready to race and stuff, and it's cold and rainy.
How do you cope? How do you cope with the rain and cold? I'm sure you're used to the rain because you'll get a little bit of that. But
yeah, with Florida, you're used to the rain. The cold, man, that's not fun. Sucking in the cold air and trying to ride and stuff is just one of those things. And you get them all mixed together. Oh, it's on.
Your tracks are mostly clay, aren't they? So they get pretty slippery during a wet season.
Yeah, most of or I'd say all of our tracks in Florida are all soil tech or agar locked and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, so the it's all glued together. So it rains, you brush it off, you're ready to go. And if it ends up raining, you end up racing in the rain too. So
you're ready for it.
What was that?
So you're ready for wet weather racing.
Oh yeah.
I've found myself to be a bit solar powered. If the rain comes out, it's like I'd rather keep my bike in the car.
Yeah, well, and the tracks. I mean, like I said, the tracks in Florida hold up pretty good and stuff. And then, we had a state qualifier a couple months ago, and it was raining, and we were racing in the rain and stuff. So just one of those things. Yeah, you got to break the bike down and clean it up afterwards. But other than that, I mean, God, Sarasota was raining and stuff at that national, and just one of those things. Tracks hold up great. It works out pretty well and stuff. Rock Hill did that past month ago. We had the 2-hour delay, rain and stuff. And the only reason that because it was lightning.
All right.
So, yeah, if it wasn't lightning, it's so bad it probably wouldn't have. They'd have kept running in the rain. But once Rock Hill, man, they're pretty strict about the lightning there, since you're on top of the hill. So
it must be nice having the profile truck there a lot of the time for those kind of wet weather times where you really get out of the rain.
For sure, man. And it's all cool too. And and that's the thing that we tell people, and that's the biggest thing is, bring the factory to you. When you go to a race and you see the profile trailer there, and if you have anything profile and something happens, you can come in and get it fixed right there and stuff. The bike vendors might be able to fix it and stuff, but if they don't have the parts, what they do, they call Gus. If we're there, Gus, they'll go, hey, Gus, you have this and that? Gus says, yeah, man, we got it. And they'll send it over to the bike shop guys to get, the bikes fixed. But, in general, if there's anything you need fixed and stuff, we're there and stuff. So
there can't be too many manufacturers that provide that kind of support.
No, there's not. There's not. I mean, I've been in, like I said, for a long time. And I mean, we show up to the nationals and stuff. We are the only factory team there that if you got a profile part, you got a spring or a paw or something you need to replace and stuff, and then the bike shop's not, we got it right there on the truck.
Does it get annoying sometimes? You might be sort of focusing on a race and someone's like, oh, quick, John, I need to fix a bolt or something.
No, it's always a good time.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's cool that because sometimes you're sitting and, passing the time, you're ready, man, you're like, sometimes you transfer out and you got nothing else to do and you're just sitting there waiting for the main. So actually works out pretty well when people come up and ask questions and stuff. And, well, I'm always helpful to help people out and everything. I think the biggest thing is, when they ask, with the new cranks or the new hubs or anything like that, you can talk about them.
So if people wanted to come up and check out your gear at the World Championships, they just walk straight up and start chatting away. They don't need to know a secret handshake or a special password or anything.
No, man, our door is open. Our door is open. It's always, come in and, check us out and stuff like that. And, Gus willing to be there to help you out. I'm there to help you out and stuff. So there's no secret handshakes. Walk in and you want to enjoy and see, check things out. We're happy to show people, especially with the new rig and everything. It's pretty cool. So
how is the new rig? I did manage to check out the old one. How's this different to the old one?
Oh, big time different. So the trailer is a foot shorter than the old trailer, but the truck is bigger than the old truck. And it's funny because it's the same motor in both of them. It's funny, it's C7 cat motor and stuff, but when you get into the new truck and they have air rise seats, oh yeah, you stepped your game up now. That is probably the coolest thing. There's been times when me and Gus have been on the road with the old truck and getting bounced around like you wouldn't believe. With the new Freightliner truck, man, it's amazing. It is amazing. So, and it's big. It looks mean going down the road. I'm gonna just tell you that. Okay, I've been driving in front of that car and behind that or the truck and stuff, and had a chance to take videos of it and stuff. That truck is mean when it's driving down the road. So no, it's an awesome truck, and I'm thankful that Jim had the opportunity to get that and for us and the team wise. So, and I always say, like I said, always be thankful that what we get and what Jim does for us.
I've just noticed we've been talking for quite a while. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I'm pretty sure we'll come back to you maybe after the Worlds and talk a little bit more, if that's all right with you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right. Thanks very much, John.
All right, man. It was good talking to you.